Donald Trump's false narratives are being blown up once again, and he is in a state of absolute panic. Because in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death, Donald Trump wasn't mourning his friend. When he was asked about Kirk this morning, he said he feels great and talked about building out his ballroom. What Donald Trump cares about is the political exploitation of a narrative he can no longer push because it was blown up by the shooter's own family. We are going to get into the many lies that Donald Trump was just caught in and how it is decimating his MAGA movement. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into the breaking news that the shooter's own family members are releasing about him that is destroying Donald Trump's narrative, I want to start with how Don Jr. is trying to spin it with this despicable attack right here.
They realize they lost the debate entirely, so they have to resort to violence. And contrary to what we're seeing elsewhere and online, it is not going both ways. It is going one way. It's coming from those aligned with the Democrat Party. The hate has been fomented by those in the Democrat Party, and you can probably play hundreds of hours of those clips. It's coming from the media. Some of them are doing a quick course correction and probably scrub their social media feeds for all the things they've said about Charlie, myself, my father over the last few years. But you can't call someone who you disagree with or simply can't win an argument with a Nazi, a fascist, a dictator, a greatest threat to democracy in the history of civilization, and then pretend you had nothing to do with it when the more radical wing, and there does not seem to be all that much difference to me these days, takes up arms and tries to kill those they disagree with. It's not one way. It's not both ways. It is simply one way. And anyone who's saying otherwise, should be thrown off the air.
They want us silenced. They are trying to use Charlie Kirk's death to silence liberals. We talked nonstop over the past 2-3 months about how Donald Trump was looking for any distraction from the Epstein files. And oh boy, has he found himself one. Donald Trump and all of MAGA will say we need to tone down the rhetoric, that calling Donald Trump a pedophile defender, calling him the criminal that he is, making it clear that this is an authoritarian project he is building out with an invasion of LA, an attack on DC. Today he said Memphis is next, maybe Baltimore, Chicago. Donald Trump is not just a wannabe dictator. Donald Trump is a dictator. Calling that out and making the stakes very clear is not inflamed rhetoric. What the right is doing is inflamed rhetoric. And I will not be silent in calling it out because it has been this way forever. And if we let them try to silence us, it's only going to get worse. Just listen to what Jessica Tarlov had to say just a few short months ago.
But they aren't using this because they're not getting it from a direct source that worked with him. So they're getting this from Mark Milley and from John Kelly, who gave on-the-record interviews. You can hear it in John Kelly's own voice talking about it. And the central premise of this and of so many things when it comes to Donald Trump is that we should just not take his words seriously. That Kamala's words matter and what Donald Trump says doesn't. Because guess what? Donald Trump calls Kamala a fascist quite regularly. He did it last month a couple times. He did it in August. Jake Tapper, just in the last hour, was playing audio of it. And so not only does he call her a fascist, he also calls her a communist. And last time I checked, communists were pretty bad. Mao, Stalin, they're responsible for over 100 million people's deaths. George Bush commemorated the lives lost to communism in 2007, I believe that it was. So spare me, as usual.
This is their playbook, to say that the liberals, they've taken it too far. The words they're using, they're endangering Mr. Trump. They use this they. They are coming for us. Well, you know who the they has been? Right-wing extremists, again and again and again, because you inflame them, not us. Mind you, it was J.D. Vance, his fat face and all, who called Donald Trump America's Hitler first. Wasn't me. It wasn't you. And the conditions that create a climate where we see the policy failure that is mass shooting after mass shooting, school shooting after school shooting, that is not my fault. That's not your fault. We don't need to apologize for that because we've lived that apology every day and fighting for it to end, but the right refuses to acknowledge our cries and the cries of children. That is the circumstance that they've set up, and it's why it's no surprise to me that Donald Trump's narrative, his lie that this shooter was trans or a person of color, is being blown up by the shooter's own family. Charlie Kirk suspect's grandma says family is all MAGA. Tyler Robinson, 22, the man arrested in connection with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, comes from a MAGA family, his grandmother revealed. Although MAGA figureheads have been quick to point fingers at the left for Kirk's death, Tyler's grandmother, Debbie Robinson, insisted that they come from a family of Trump supporters. She spoke with the Daily Mail on Friday after news of Robinson's arrest broke. "My son, his dad, is a Republican for Trump," Debbie told the outlet. "Most of my family members are Republican. I don't even know anyone who's a Democrat." According to the outlet, Robinson's father, Matt, 48, was the one to turn Tyler into the authorities after he confessed to the grisly crime. Debbie has not been able to get in touch with her son since news of her grandson's arrest went public. "I'm just so confused," Debbie said of her grandson's arrest. "Tyler is the shyest person," she said. "He has never, ever spoke politics to me at all." She insisted that Robinson has never, ever gotten in trouble in his entire life. On Friday morning, Donald Trump announced after a days-long manhunt, a suspect had been taken into custody after Kirk was shot dead. According to public records, Robinson's parents are both registered Republicans. Tyler Robinson was previously registered as a nonpartisan voter, but according to Utah Governor Spencer Cox, he had become more political in recent years. Cox added that Robinson had told a family member he disliked Kirk and mentioned that Kirk was coming to Utah Valley. Another reporter on Twitter noted that according to Utah officials in police interviews with the family, Tyler Robinson hated Charlie Kirk because Kirk wasn't conservative enough. Robinson reportedly admired Nick Fuentes. GOPers are now scrubbing X posts about Dems faster than Donald Trump and the DOJ erase names in the Epstein files. So, for those of you who may not know, Nick Fuentes is a far-right streamer who is on the complete edge of the political spectrum. This is a known anti-Semite. He is a Holocaust denier. Nick Fuentes has been very publicly against Charlie Kirk. But now he's trying to retract his statements, saying that he always admired Kirk because he was a man of God, that he went to campuses looking for debate in good faith. That's a lie. Nick Fuentes doesn't believe that, and neither do his Groypers, and that's why we're in the position that we are. But I'd like to tackle that talking point for just a moment. Charlie Kirk was not a champion of free speech. As much as I like a lot of what I've read or listened to from Ezra Klein over the years, the idea that he was, in Klein's words, doing politics the right way is laughable to me. Charlie Kirk was doing politics for profit. That was his goal. Now, sure, he built a large population of conservative online activists through the process. He built a giant organization that does what I think the left needs to do, which is animate young people and give them the tools to engage in politics. Now, does Charlie Kirk do that out of the kindness of his heart and a belief in a better America? No. He did it because bigotry drove every step he took, every word he said, and every action he made. That is it. Charlie Kirk went to college campuses because he was a smart enough media mogul to know that clips of him debating college kids would go the most viral, would build him the biggest following that he could make money off of, on top of his billionaire donors, and use to spread hate. Because hate spreads pretty damn quickly online. That's it. This was not a man who loved free speech above all else. If he did, Charlie Kirk would have been out in the streets, fighting, protesting, and calling for the release of my classmate Mahmoud Khalil, who was arrested, not even disappeared, stripped from his family, while his wife was pregnant, didn't get to witness the birth of his child because Donald Trump didn't like that he criticized the Israeli government for carrying out a genocide in Gaza that is being funded by our tax dollars. And a lot of Democrats, unfortunately, who take a lot of money from AIPAC, they didn't say anything either. And I think it's important that we call that all out. Of course, Republicans are fully on board with Donald Trump's disappearings and certainly won't be critical of the genocide. It's simply not just a criticism of Democrats, but also I think that's important to offer up, just in the broader context, if we're going to be honest brokers about this all. But back to Charlie Kirk. Stop eulogizing the man. Stop giving him credit. Stop having Republicans impose their fake sorrow on you. Nancy Mace yesterday said that this was a tranny, to use her disgusting, vile language, using in an attempt to put down a whole group of people, which has never done her harm. She's just an attention whore. Sorry for the language, but it's just true. And now she's saying that the shooter is a white man. Well, you know, Jesus would have wanted us to love him and forgive him. Spare me the bullshit from all of them. I'm not falling into your trap. I'm not allowing it to happen. I don't have to condemn this. I'm not responsible, and neither are you. I'm going to keep calling out their line of BS because it's what it is. They don't care about us. Do not give them this opportunity to stall any conversation about progress with this excuse. Donald Trump wants to talk about a ballroom, not Charlie Kirk. I'm not feeding into it. And neither is Jasmine Crockett. She made sure of that right here.
Well, during this presentation, you spoke at length about the importance of vaccines. In fact, one of your slides stated, quote, clusters of under or non-immunization have the potential to foster transmission of vaccine-preventable diseases, including measles. Is this a slide from your presentation, yes or no?
I haven't reviewed that presentation recently,
so we're going to go you don't know. You work under someone who has become the face of the anti-vax movement. So who's right, you or the secretary?
Thank you so much for that.
You or the secretary?
I would like to tell you that Secretary
You or the
Kennedy
secretary?
is challenging us to use gold standard.
So you're going to
science
filibuster,
together.
and I only have 25 seconds. So I'm going to go with you, assume you, but you know that he's your boss. This administration has lost all credibility with the American people and our global partners. No one believes you care about improving health outcomes when you're slashing NIH research into Alzheimer's disease, women's health, cancer, and diabetes. No one believes you care about public health when you cut programs that support maternal and child health and eliminate Healthy Start. No one believes you care about children when you implement the largest cut to Medicaid in history. Americans know the truth, and the truth is that this administration, with the help of congressional Republicans, has unleashed the most significant assault on public health in American history. The people will die as a result. I yield back the remainder of my time.
Call them out again and again and again. I will not be silenced. I'm taking a bit of a different tone recently. I've seen a lot of comments saying that y'all approve of the tone shift. So maybe we keep it up for the show. I usually try to shoot straight with y'all, but sometimes shooting straight means calling out the bullshit. And we're going to be doing that on this show. I promise you that. I'm not staying silent. And also, I think it's nice to close the show by saying we should also always be talking about the Epstein files, and Jesse Waters is a piece of shit who should be fired off of Fox because he tried to declare war. And with that, if you want to support our work, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Stay fighting, don't be silenced, and until next time, I'll see you soon.